5, 4, 3.
Oh, 7-star citizens, and welcome back to
Ah!
Answer the Call. My face isn't there.
Your
Maybe I
face
am
isn't
really
there.
AI.
It
Maybe
is.
it's true.
There he is.
Maybe I'm actually AI. Hello, everyone. I am back. I had an eye infection, and now I'm better, so I don't look like an idiot. I was very much scared that the whole of last week's episode, I was just going to be doing this the entire time. So I said, Mike, don't put me on the pod. But it's another week. How you doing, Mike?
Good. Last week was fun. I missed you though. I look
Yep.
forward to doing that. Hopefully really soon with Red again when we get the changes that kind of like Torsten and team have hinted at for some of these things. It'd be really nice to see how they're going, how it feels,
Yep.
and all that stuff. But for now, it was a good show, but it was definitely missed. That is the one staple. I used to have a staple of bringing Board on and talking about the current state of the game, like way back years ago when I first started. And the staple that has been since with the Answer the Call was you and Red coming on talk about mining. And it's just unfortunate that there's not a lot of good things to say. Now, before we started, I said people kept asking what the topic is, and I said the topic is to not complain about the current state of things. And that is my goal, is to not complain about the current state of things. We'll go into that a little bit later as to why, but that is my goal. I do not want to come up here and say everything is bad when it really isn't, if you think about it, right? It really isn't.
Yeah.
But you were busy yesterday, and I think we should probably start with that because it's very happy, fun stuff that everyone loves and can't say anything bad about.
And watch us say some bad stuff about it with half of the servers. Daymar Rally, largest community event that happens in-game every year, was yesterday. This is the first Daymar Rally that we've had since a bunch of things have happened server-wise. So, server cap increases, replication layer, so server errors were now a thing, opposed to 30Ks completely destroying a whole server mid-run, right? That was probably one of the best things about this.
Yeah.
That was the main stuff. Like, there not a lot of changes to vehicles in the last year. I like the ground vehicles in the last year, just a few things here and there. And no engineering yet, so still no changes there in regards to the Daymar Rally. But yeah, huge. As always, all the typical server issues. As far as I'm aware, CIG were trying to help us with server issues as much as possible.
I saw something where the caps were like 250.
Yeah. I think they were doing something. I don't have like any information other than they were doing something.
Yeah.
I will put one rumor to rest. Apparently, people were saying, "Oh, are these private servers?" I could tell you for a fact they weren't, because there were still pirates rocking up into the event and doing the good old Daymar Rally, like shooting stuff. So all that was still happening.
Even our org was like not able to get into the party. Like there was an issue with that, things like that. So like our guys were playing, but they weren't in the So there was a way to. It was definitely not private. They don't do that. I don't think there are private servers on live whatsoever. I think that's one thing that they will never do.
Pretty much the only like private servers we've ever had at Atmo, as far as I'm aware, was for EA 54, which was Arena Commander servers. Like it was only private in that regard.
Private AC is totally different than private in the PU.
Yeah. So it went. I said this before the pod. It went probably better than a lot of previous Daymar rallies. We were unable to start 2 of the servers. Just far too many issues. Constant restarts. So 2 servers weren't able to get in. The first 2 servers went through though, and from what I could tell, those first 2 servers were able to get through the whole way without too many issues. Once again, we had some server errors, but big difference now is that now no longer completely destroys the run, so you can keep going after the server error fixes itself. Biggest thing though is it does look like my boy Herbie from Team Punch Buggy was able to get the win for the Cyclone division, continuing to be the absolute GOAT.
we were in the motorcycle division, and I was like, "Oh, you're only 7 kilometers behind Herbie. That's good." Because they died and they had to restart. I was like, "Oh, you're doing okay." And then we had a funny thing that happened where we had I wasn't participating. I was watching, but the team that we put out was just got to Eager Flats. They ran into a bunch of problems. They only had 2 bikes. They lost. I think they had 9 total. They lost 7 of them to bugs, and they get to Eager Flats and check in, and then maybe about 5 minutes later, the thing goes up on the board and says 30K Incorporated and all our guys' names, 2nd place, and you could hear Detox be like, "Huh?" Like, that's surprising. And then there it is.
There
it is. It was perfect timing. I didn't even try. I didn't even try. This is them going second place. They had just checked in at Eager Flats at this point, which is not even halfway. So it was and then I was typing in chat. I was like, nope, they're definitely not there. But yeah, this is the first time I actually sat down and was able to watch the Daymar Rally, and it was a good time. So it was fun. But
yeah, it's another one of those things where it's like
is going to change it like crazy. I'm so excited for that. That's going to be so cool. Pit
engineering
stops.
is going to be cool with this. One of the big things that was different in the rule set this year was like respawns were allowed. So if you did explode and die, you could come back, which I think is a rule that we probably should just keep in until the game's like done. Really, like
well, until at least vehicles aren't dumb and crash for dumb reasons. Like, is it really a skill issue if you float in the air and have no control over your thing and run into stuff? I don't know. Probably not as much.
Yeah, I'm not sure with the Gravlevs where I stand, but at the very least, people are dying far too much to bugs.
Yeah.
Still, so you need to,
exactly.
So that was a good rule change this year. The game still is very much not ready for this event.
No.
But like
Brute
you do see
anyway.
Exactly. Brute force through it. You see it every year still get better and better. There was like a lot of issues I noticed. Like this was the first time I have to say kudos to Crucian. We did a different thing with commentators this time. Last year I was awake. I was commentating for 11 hours.
Yeah,
I'm dead. This is messed up. So we did a little like shift work thing this time. So much better for us.
Yeah, it started with Detox, then you were all 3 there for a little bit, and then Detox left, you took over when it was like EU nighttime. That's really good.
Yeah, so hopefully we do more of that again because that was good. And then the organization behind the scenes is getting a little bit better as well. So I'm excited for like that to increase. But really, it's just like server performance, man. It's killing us. It's killing us for these sorts of things, especially when like we were talking about server caps have increased now. And so you want the Daymar Rally to be more people in one server to be as cool as it is. But it really cannot withstand it. It just can't.
So what were the server frames? Because what I was going to say is, client performance was like the issue. I was looking at it going, oh my God, all the people are in one place. So it can't be the server. It's like the start is such a disaster because the frame rates are like 5. And then it's like, kiss your big battles goodbye and all those things is how it feels right this second, right? And just like who would have ever thought 500 players in a server a year and a half ago, right? Like I just don't think I could imagine it, but we have it, and now it's like I can't see 100 vehicles in the same location and it not being a complete disaster. But who knows?
Yeah. So maybe first 10 kilometers of the race, specifically with like the buggies and whatnot, less so with the Gravlevs.
Yeah.
And I imagine this is a lot because of like the dust that gets kicked up. Crazy client performance issues.
Yep.
That is the same as it's been like every year. But now we just have more vehicles, so we're seeing how far it can go. But it did clear up eventually. But you're exactly right. Like that's a concerning point of, this is something that's going to have to get touched on quite a bit. And what was I remember them talking about this, I think it was before I joined the pod. where they were talking about how they wanted to change like priorities in what streams to client, and so like it wouldn't stream any interiors of any ships and stuff.
That was years ago. It was called it was something, it was a bind culling thing, but it was something related to the interiors of ships. Like, unless you were in it, you didn't need to see it. You know,
exactly.
But we still do, and they've never implemented that. That was a thing that was like 5 years ago supposed to get done. That was going to make the Idris possible and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that stuff needs to happen like pretty soon, I think. We're at 500 people now, so you're going to see more of these people together more and more. So
yeah.
It was fun to watch. This is one of the first times where I actually saw some eliminations from teams, as in like combat eliminations. It was great.
Oh my god, it was epic.
Yeah,
epic.
So we had
the buggies.
We got to watch the TR on one of the servers. I think it was like server 2 kickoff, and just spraying for like the first 30 minutes of the race was awesome. There was another much later in the race, I believe 2 rovers started going at it with their laser repeaters on the top. So awesome. Hell yeah. We don't get to see as much of that in the previous Daymar rallies, but now as we can get more people in the service, you're going to get that a lot more often. I will say, in regards to the TR, that's only possible because the RC is garbage, like speed wise, because if otherwise you would just be in the RC and get your speed. But that was cool.
Neat. How many people participate in this every year, or this year in particular? Because like you obviously have a lot of people, a lot of servers.
Yeah.
You don't have to give it exact, but like approximate.
Well, my brain's not working. I wouldn't be able to give you an approximate.
Like 1,000 I know there was more?
It was in terms of individual people, more than 1,000.
Yeah.
Teams, it was, I think, like teams, it was just over 100.
Nice.
I believe.
169 teams, Herbie said. Yeah.
Herbie says 169. So, and I would believe the winner of the buggy division. So,
yeah.
169 teams. Obviously, like we said, we couldn't get 2 of the servers to launch. Just too many issues, but yeah.
Sick. Do you guys think you're ever going to do like entry fees and prize pool for Alpha UEC one day?
For Alpha UEC, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't mean real money, obviously. I mean in-game.
Well, I was gonna say, like real money entrance fees is a thing, but you wouldn't see it in Star Citizen for a very long time, because
pay the security with it.
That as well. You also wouldn't be able to run it. Like if you ran it in universe, there's just like so many issues with like real money ones that you could do. Whereas like AC, not so much. But yeah, I can see that happening, but it probably wouldn't be us organizing it. It would probably be like, hey, we've teamed up with Billy's gambling org.
No. Okay, so it's not gambling. It's not gambling. It's just like in like tournament style type of things, the teams put up the entry fee and it helps pay for
security and stuff.
Security. But it can also go to a prize pool as well. So like the top 3 teams in each division will get a piece of that pie. But the it'll like when the game comes out, guys like Crucian, yourself, Detox, Meyer, people that are spending time on these kind of things instead of playing the game. If the game is actually good, you might want to be compensated for your time that you can't play. You know what I mean? Like, I know this is kind of a silly question. No, well, okay. In this case, maybe with real money, but also in-game credits, right?
I'll say using what you're saying, what I could see happening,
like sponsors and stuff for you guys, but yeah.
Well, let's say there's like tweaker-esque modules. Like loot only modules that are like really expensive. Those could become prizes for these sort of events for sure.
Sure.
And then that's when you charge your UEC fees to pay for that stuff.
Yeah.
And that would make sense. Yeah. Think of it like you do an Eve tournament and the prize is like a Titan blueprint or something.
Yep. Exactly. And then, but even like people who do like I guess that's kind of where it's coming from, and we can't go a fucking podcast without bringing up Eve, of course, is like there's all these tools in Eve, right? And people spend lots of real world hours on these tools. And you know what they do? They charge 100 million credits a month. 200 million credits a month because they're spending all their time making this tool instead of playing the game. So it's like, hey, what I would be doing is making credits in the game. So that's kind of where that came from in my mind. It was like the organizers, the camera people, the security, all that stuff. Yeah, I think it would be cool if they got paid that way, and it came out of like the entry fees for the teams, and then it puts a little something at stake for the teams as well. I think it would be cool.
Yep. Yeah, no,
I don't know. I ran real world poker tournaments. So that's exactly how it works, right? Like people put in an entry fee, a percentage of it goes to the staff, and then the rest of people are just playing for, and may the best 10% of people win. So
that is all of the TCG tournaments and stuff that I've run as well. It's the exact same thing. So.
Exactly. So interesting, but.
So, good time. Just disappointed we couldn't get the 2 servers to launch, because even in previous years we have had like more people launch. It's just that then they would drive for an hour and then 30K. So it's like this was like the first time where it's like we were able to start
and finish.
People were consistently able to finish once they started, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So that was sweet. And you guys do it in like batches, right? So it's the people who win, they don't know they won until it's all over because there's different heats, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, sort of, because once again, because we had issues with servers, and because we had that one server that I mentioned that we got to see with the TR that started later, right? So it's just like a double checking times to make sure that they did in fact, finish first in terms of time. But as far as we're aware, I'm going to keep saying it and then get really, really sad when it turns out not true. Herbie, Team Punch Buggy, my goat, gets there in the buggy division again. Not only that, I believe truck division won by Gerber the Gnome and crew as well. So just
the crew.
Classic champs. Yeah. All the crew smashing it. I think Amarok's Fang, which I don't know if you may know, because I don't think they do much in time trials.
No.
But they are insane pilots. I think they also won the Dragonfly division. So we're actually getting some esports pros in Star Citizen.
Oh yeah,
because we're just seeing the same names over and over again, which I love.
It's the same thing in Gun Rush and the other FPS modes in Arena Commander. The same names at the top every time. There's guys like, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to mess them up and miss anybody, because they're legends, right? And I know I'm going to miss people. You know who you are. I play against them all the time, and they're so good. And it's so cool to see how I'm getting decent, but then these guys come in and it's like I'm here and they're all the way up here, and it's just cool to see. So I hope to see some stuff from that. That's one thing we have not seen yet from you guys at Atmo. Is any FPS stuff?
There was, but it was another in-universe one. So there was an event called the Hudson Hurt Locker.
Yeah, Hurt Locker.
Which was like a kind of like a battle royale type thing. We put it on hold last year. I'm not sure what's happening with it now. But yeah, I'd like to see some more FPS stuff. I know that Crucian's always been a big fan of Halo esports and stuff.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's right up his alley. And maybe we'll push it one day.
Because that's my jam
also
right
a lot
now
easier to organize. Anything Arena Commander right now, way easier to organize.
Exactly, and that's just my jam these days. Is the FPS stuff I find to be, while incredibly frustrating, as people may have seen before the stream started today or the podcast started, it's the most fun I've had in a while in the game.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the Daymar Rally. What do you want to move into next? Super happy, fun conversation, or trying to not have a super unhappy, fun conversation? Up to you.
I don't know what the context is of either of those.
So pick one.
So you choose.
No, you choose.
Based on... Let's continue happy.
Happy.
Let's go.
Let's talk about the MISC Fortune. You weren't here to talk about it last week.
Yeah.
So what do you think about what you've seen so far with the MISC Fortune?
Yeah, I'm not a big salvage guy. But I know, but like I am a big industry guy, so it's more like I don't necessarily care about the salvage, but give me all the materials, please. I will buy them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's yeah, everything we've seen is cool. Obviously, yeah, we're referring as well to the sneak peek from this week, which I believe shows a little bit of the interior, right? Or was it the other sneak peek?
Yeah, I am looking for it because I actually in my weekend review doc have the wrong links everywhere, so they're all off.
Mm.
This was the sneak peek from this week, which is
Cool.
incredibly interesting to me. Can you
What is
tell
that?
why? It's a cargo grid on
Ah,
the
okay.
exterior of it. But look at this, just look at the size of everything. It is so telling, I think, and it's so interesting. Reason being is there's a chance, there's a slim chance that CIG is not being incredibly grimy here and doing the power creep thing. Those all
To like
look
make it better than the vulture, sure.
exactly. Those all look 1 SCU size.
I would imagine so.
There
Yeah.
are 6. There are 2 sides to the MISC Fortune. That means 12 SCU. How much SCU does the vulture hold in its cargo hold? 12 SCU. Are these exactly the same?
Except one
Potentially.
has 2 lasers. This one has 1.
We think everything we've
Yeah.
seen is a shadow for the most part, right? And
Yeah, true.
this could be one size 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that too. I would love if they both had 2 and it was like I'm just putting it out there, just style. And then maybe one is a little. This is what I was talking about. I think I posted it last night. I ended up on the SaltEMike TV channel. I have removed reacts from the name. Not that I will not be doing reacts. That is not going away. But more like live stream, just conversations and things like that in there. And I've been meaning to do that for years. I finally did it, and it's we're going that route. I talked about it yesterday with what if don't you want every we talked about this before on the podcast. Don't you want every ship to be viable, right? But viable for a reason?
Yep.
What if the Vulture was good at RMC? And what if the Fortune was good at whatever construction materials is going to turn into? Structural salvage. Whatever structural salvage ends up being, what if that one was slightly better at one and one was slightly better at the other? And then now you have let's use a Wake of Disaster example. Now you have the MISC Fortune on the field, you have the Drake Vulture on the field, and you probably have a Reclaimer on the field as well, because there's size differences on what you can structurally salvage based on the ships, right? So now you're bringing everybody with you, and every salvage ship is viable. But we don't know anything. We don't know the size. There's no size indicators anywhere here. So it's pure speculation, but I find it to be so interesting and fun that just what this might be giving away. How does it even work? Where did the box comes out of what appears to be on the right? Does it move across these things that look like
if it like conveyor belts?
Doesn't it look that way? Doesn't it look like it comes out of here, conveyor belts here, comes out of here, conveyor belts here, comes out, conveyor belts, and then
because like otherwise what are the point of those little,
in betweens
sections? Yeah.
Right?
Oh, all right. I wasn't excited. I'm very excited about possibility of conveyor belt.
Cool, right? There's so much on the screen without anything being on the screen.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm just super excited about this sneak peek because I don't necessarily care to buy another ship, but it really comes down to what CIG is, how they're designing, what direction they're going with these kind of things. Because this sort of tells us, are we still doing F7A Mark II trash, or are we, like that ship is so cool, but at the same time, it does put a lot of other ships in the dust, and it's going to be really hard to resolve that as an issue, right? And because it just has so many guns. So if you're going to do, what are you going to do here? That's what I'm curious about. I don't care about the price. I don't care what it looks like. I care about what are your intentions? What are your thought processes around these ships, and how are you making this a cool video game again, right? Or whatever. You know what I mean there.
Yeah.
So
I want to bring up something someone brought up in the YouTube chat just now, which apparently someone said that it almost looks like there's a hinge at the left side, so it might span out like the whole C. And if you look at it, kinda.
I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back up. Sorry, I was.
It does look like maybe it comes out like like the hulls do. So you've got that long rod in the center. It looks like.
Oh, okay.
There's a real world where maybe it comes out and extends or something.
But those pipes look pretty solid. Right? Sorry, you probably couldn't hear me that well, but yeah, the pipes look pretty solid, so it's hard.
Yeah. It looks like it could. It looks like it maybe could, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm
gonna take it off the screen for a second because there's other looks at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's see what else is was available as far as that goes. Oh, why is it doing this to me? That's why. Okay. There's last week's sneak peek, which you didn't see, and I don't think there's. No,
I think that was the interior one, wasn't it?
That was the interior. That's not giving too much away. It's just telling you that it's a salvage ship. Then here's this, which we had seen plenty of. That's indicating one laser instead of two, but we don't know what this is.
Yeah.
So
could that be
structural salvage?
Yeah, right. It looks like it could maybe look a little bit like what the things that's on the reclaimers like.
Exactly.
Talons.
Right. And because what you have with the vulture is you have the prongs that make the lasers in between. Like, they need to have something on this ship to indicate that it'll do that. Okay. So there's that, but then I need to find it, and I think it's only in my files. So let me bring them up from last week's Week in Review, I think is where I had them. Yeah, here it is. This is the only other thing that we have, which I see two lasers potentially. This was from the IAE show. What is that? Size 2, size 1?
Yeah, it's weird.
And then this thing?
I don't know if they do size 2, size 1 because it's just
me neither. I don't know.
Weird. I do think this photo, because I've been fighting so many people on the size of this thing. This photo to me confirms it is prospector size.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. I'm surprised you're fighting people on that. It's very clearly. I mean, look at the door.
Yeah, I think. Right? Well, I think people just don't realize how large the prospector is.
True, it's not small.
Yeah,
I mean, guys, it's got 32 SCU of mining bags on it that could potentially be 48 or whatever. So yeah, it's interesting. And again, I don't want to obsess too much over a ship. It's not really about the ship. It's about where are you guys going with your ship's design, and how is it going away from this, if at all, from what they've been doing. It's also
based on what we think it is. Like, I think there is an important reason to like talk about it a lot, which is based on what we think it is, which is a vulture competitor, not a larger vulture, not a smaller vulture.
Yeah,
we haven't had that for non-cargo industry, right? We have the prospector and the mole. And then if you want it like the rock, right?
Yep.
Those are 3 different sizes. No competitors for all 3. We've had the vulture, the reclaimer. No competitors for either. Combat ships, 1 billion competitors. Cargo, 1 billion competitors. So like, yes, give me more of this.
Exactly.
I want more variations in my industry.
Great. This is great. Like, Drake is a style that some people might not like.
Yeah.
That's it. The reclaimer is definitely a style people might not like just from pure size and all that stuff that might be super annoying to deal with, right? I hate using the reclaimer because it's just old and a pain to deal with. So I would, if I'm salvaging, I'm going vulture, which by the way, I'm not going to say anything because I don't actually believe it's true, but apparently there's component wise, you can swap components and it will change. Like salvaging will be better with industrial components. Allegedly. But there's been no like proper science testing. That would be great. Yeah. So there's something on that, but I got to do more testing on it. And that's why
we're talking we were talking like 2 weeks ago. We said like we would want industrial to be like, yeah, you know, you're gonna get more laser power to your mining lasers, your servers, whatever. But your signature is now the size of the sun.
Like, apparently that's what happens. But
okay, cool.
The reason I was playing Gun Rush the entire stream before the podcast today is because I went to go buy those and got stuck where I bought them and could not get out of the train, and I just had enough. And that's the only complaint I'm making. I promise. That's it. But that's why I was so frustrated. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so curious about this ship sale. It goes all the way back to the Ironclad and how they kind of were sort of getting a vibe for how cargo works and how it played and how people were playing it, and made a ship based on how people played. Now, I think the Vulture, the moment they did the buffer, the Vulture was a very cool ship, and it was useful. There's very little bad notes to make on it, in my opinion, at least. And it's like, oh, okay, we did good. Let's keep going down that route. And I hope that's what happens, right? And we'll see. I'm just so curious about this one, and I have not had this sort of curiosity around a ship in a long time.
Yeah.
So,
do you think it'll release at People are speculating that they might finally release a ship at Stellar Fortuna just because of MISC Fortune.
Yeah, it looks very done.
Oh yeah,
from all those things, right? It looks like it's just waiting.
Yeah.
Instead of the other way around, right? Where it's like a rush to get it done.
Ship sale.
Yeah. So Stellar Fortuna would be interesting. Just
a patch release, maybe. Like it might just be one of those. Yeah.
4.0.1. I could see it being in there. And it's just this is the gameplay loop that I have found to be the most enjoyable, least amount of bugs, least frustrating, and lots of potential to grow from where it is now. And I can't say the same for mining as much, where mining is pretty locked in. It's just a matter of getting crafting involved with it. Where this has a lot more room to change and be more interesting than it is now, and it's the one that excites me the most. So
for sure.
All right. Outside of that, it's pretty much, you want to talk about our current experiences with the PTU?
Yeah. So I've honestly barely played any Sarsets in the last 2 weeks. I installed Bellatra a week and a half ago, and it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
I'm not familiar with that game.
Oh,
Keep it that way.
It's just a roguelite, but it's like extremely addictive.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I got to play the PTU this week for about 4 hours. And I was excited because, you know, it's introducing the chapter 2 of the dynamic event, which, as far as I can tell, because Mike, you'll probably have more experiences than I did, but as far as I can tell, it is kind of what I expected, where it's like missions for either faction, get some rep, that's it. Sort of, once again, like an introduction to Pyro.
Yep, it's exactly the same as the previous ones. It's 6 out of 6. You do it twice, and the rewards are kind of interesting. There's an FPS weapon, and there are skins. And this stream that I'm showing here is kind of the height of where I've just kind of had enough. This is, reading through the notes, them saying that they fixed repair missions. They didn't. And then my next step was, I'm going to go do Save Stanton Chapter 1, because I'm a completionist type MMO player, and the only way to complete it, we think that there's 3 paths to Save Stanton Chapter 2. If you go down and the reason I'm doing this mission, by the way, is because I can't get missions for Save Stanton Chapter 2. I cannot get them. They do not appear. I cannot get them.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I've tried to send as much information to Elliot and team as possible, but I don't know what to do. I can get, there's Chapter 2, Phase 1, and Phase 2. The way they describe it in the notes is totally different. They call it Phase 8 and 6 and all this crap that I don't understand. I went CFP. I went Citizens for Pyro.
Okay.
Citizens for Pyro has cargo missions in the first phase, and they all work perfect. But the second phase is go to a bunker and clear out slicers. And that does not work nearly at all for me. And the problem with that is slicers wear all black armor. And then I go to CFP, and sometimes there's CFP people wearing black armor, and there's no markers. And I don't know who I'm shooting. Headhunters typically wear red, from my experience.
Yellow.
CFP is yellow.
No.
Okay.
Every time I do CFP missions, it's always headhunters that are yellow.
I don't know then, because there's CFP people that are wearing yellow in my mission, so I have no idea. That's basically the feedback that I'm giving there, is I'm not really sure who I'm shooting at, and I got negative rep for CFP by accidentally killing them, right? Like, who's this? What who's that guy? Is that Headhunters?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
No idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the issues that I've run into, is I'm not really sure who's who. So I get negative rep. Then I'm like, oh, maybe that's why I wasn't getting missions. So then I do some CFP missions and get positive rep. Still don't get the missions. So I'm just like, what do I do here, right? But I went down CFP because I did see leaks of what the rewards are, not by my choice. It just happened. And CFP I thought was the best looking ones. But I tried to do Save Stanton Chapter 1, and we could not kill this thing.
Yeah.
And because I'm trying to do it on alts, so I can get all 3 sets on different characters, and then eventually, get them to a main account whenever the game comes out. So it was impossible to kill it. It did not die until after the mission failed. Then it died.
Did you try the torpedo in the cockpit?
Yep.
Yep.
Tried it all.
Yeah.
It was just brutal. So the only other solution is
rough.
Go do it by yourself, get a motorcycle, go in there, self-destruct the ship. That's the next step. I was going to do that today, but I didn't know how much time there would be before the podcast, so I'm just going to do it tomorrow.
Yep.
But that's been my experiences. Every single time I've tried to go into the game and do anything, there has been a brick wall that I've just run my head into over and over and over again, and I'm just not going to do the doing the same thing expecting different results anymore. I'm just not doing it, right? So that's where I'm at. And what's your experience been? I guess obviously it's been limited time, but
yeah, I mean, even then I was able to have like a pretty comparable experience, I guess. So I went for Freedom Fighters, mostly based on the fact that the initial missions sounded more fun.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was like, do cargo or go shoot stuff.
Stuff sounds better.
Some stuff, yeah. So I chose Freedom Fighters. I was able to do 2 different missions. One was essentially, just a regular go down to a location and shoot some. I think it was CFP at the time, because you're actively fighting against CFP and headhunters as Freedom Fighters. Well, one thing I will note, just quickly, I did like in the mission description a big highlight. They did like a highlight in the description that said, there is a possibility, or some variation of like, there's a possibility that CFP and headhunters won't like what you're doing. It's like, all right, cool. I will get negative rep with them if I do this mission. Awesome. Thank you for telling me.
That's a good thing to make sure that we point out as well. If you take and complete one mission for one of these sides, that's the path you're going down.
Yeah.
Think wisely.
I will say one of the other reasons that I chose Freedom Fighters is I was like, well, I can get my rep back for CFP. I can just do those missions. Yeah. You can't do it the other way around, I imagine, unless they make Freedom Fighters have like a rep and get regular missions outside of this event, which they might, to be fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that FPS mission. It was just a little buggy, but I was able to complete it. And then there was a second mission, which was the
liquid tanks.
No, sorry, I did the liquid tanks. That was the FPS mission.
That's where I'm at for you right now. I found the liquid tanks in your stream.
And then the second mission was go to the asteroid bases. And it was, instead of just a generic kill everyone, it was like a destroy the servers mission.
Mm-hmm.
They both worked. I didn't get any missions after that though that were any different or anything like that. So I don't know what the deal is or how it progresses or anything like that. I'm waiting for a more stable build.
Yeah.
And then I'll give it a go.
Yep. And I see some people a little confused saying that they couldn't share missions. You can't share missions in this, and it says it in the notes. Reason being is Croncy went down Freedom Fighters. I went down CFP. That opens up the door for us to share the missions to each other. And that is not something they want you to be able to do. That's why these are not shareable, whereas the Chapter 1 has been shareable. But that's basically been our experiences. Now, I kind of want to chat about the title down below. Is it living up to expectations? And I feel like it's been really easy to be like, this is garbage. It's super bad, super frustrating. This game sucks. You know, never playing it again. You know, the year's going to be so bad, so on and so forth. All those thoughts have run through my mind, right? And more in the last like day or two than ever before. And that's stupid. And that's sort of what I want to talk about a little bit. We chatted just before the podcast started about it, but isn't what we were expecting with 4.0's launch? You know, like why am I feeling this way?
You're feeling this way because honestly, the way that I'm feeling that way is because the first 2 days were so good, and I can't forget. I can't forget those first 2 days.
I want that back. That's true. That's true. Yeah. It is slowly degraded, and it's to the point where it's like very problematic, and it's frustrating to play. It's very difficult, but this is absolutely the expectation that I would have had. The issue that I have. And they have, this is not complaining. This is explaining, not complaining. I want to be clear about that. It's not complaining.
It's criticism.
Not even. Okay, it's the opposite. It's defending them in this case. Is 4.0.1, I really would have hoped was a lot better than it is. Sure. And it's not. I wanted it to be. I wanted it to fix everything and be great. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
But how is it supposed to be when not everybody is back in the office? Like I've seen multiple devs that typically hang out around Twitch chats saying that they were still on vacation.
Yeah.
Right. And if everybody is doing their winter vacation thing and not everyone's in the office, do we really expect everyone to be like dialed in and patches to just be like perfect? So again, same way as my expectations around 4.0. Why am I expecting 4.0.1 to be like, you know, the catch-all and fix everything that I have a problem with? It's just not going to do that. And I think like this week is the week where everyone's kind of back and the ball starts rolling. So let's sort of see what happens this week. We don't have 4.0.1 looking like it's coming to a live server anytime soon. They pointed out that the patch that we're currently playing is going to roll out. It's going to run until Tuesday. They're not even going to fix it for tomorrow. Like tomorrow is not even a day that they plan on doing a patch. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's one of those things where just chill. It's okay. We have. I don't feel that we're going to have another 2024 in the sense of it is going to be a complete disaster in terms of waiting for something like server meshing. I just don't think that's going to be the thing, right? What do you think? I've mumbled on enough.
No, I think once again, they're all like you talking about like you don't want to complain.
Yeah.
But like I think it is still reasonable to in some extent to complain about the like we were talking about how the patch shouldn't have come out before Christmas. We probably wouldn't be complaining if we wouldn't want to complain necessarily if it hadn't come out, right? So we can talk about like that sort of stuff. But like, of course, like we're getting 4.01 patches. There are fixes in them. Whether they're consistently working or not is changing literally every day.
Yeah.
And literally by every patch. It's regular PTU stuff, right? We're back into that route for the next few weeks. The thing that I want to talk about is it's just very disheartening having what I felt was an amazing patch with a ton of content that I really enjoyed, and not being able to enjoy it at all for the last few weeks, really. And that just does suck, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I guess that's the crux of it. There's nothing really we can do about it until we get more people in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, disappointing or demoralizing or whatever is I think is pretty fair in the sense of you're hoping server degradation is less of a thing with meshing. Because it's dealing with less stuff. And I would say,
which is in some cases it is. Like you do still have a lot more servers now that like have a consistent like 30 server FPS for longer. But you're seeing like all the other stuff degrade. You're seeing like bugs end up degrading stuff and whatnot. So
sure, 100%. And I guess the most disappointing thing I've seen come out of 4.0.1 and why it's not meeting my expectations necessarily is there's been zero like Benoit type fixes, server meshing related. What would be the word? Optimizations to things. Now, I that's not fair. Not zero. It's hard to tell at the moment. PTU, there's only one server. There's not enough people playing it to even fill two. Like if I'm stuck on something that's not working, I can't go anywhere else. I can't find another one. And even then we're seeing similar degradation type problems, which is like, ooh, rough. And I have not seen a single server error, which is ironic because you did.
I had a few. They ended up fine, but I had a few.
Yeah. I have not had a single 30K, single black screen, single server error. And I've put in hours, more hours than I've put in a long time into the PTU. But if the server doesn't have 500 people and there aren't a bunch running, is that a fair assumption to go, it's more stable? Never. It's never fair to assume that. Because when it goes live, we all know what happens, right? It always changes. So we'll have to see. But I'm trying to figure out what this year's going to be, and I shouldn't based off of anything that's happening right now.
Yeah.
No ISCs yet. People aren't back at the office completely yet. Hopefully this week they are. This looks like it's just doing whatever they couldn't get in towards the end of last year, and that's it. So
there's something to be said. And I don't want to speculate, so if anyone comes in and calls and starts speculating, I'll kick you out. But there have been a lot of changes in the company that have been publicly announced by people.
Yeah.
So like that's a whole thing. Like there's going to be a lot of changes in how teams' priorities are going to work and what's going to happen this year, right? As they start doing they've presumably already started doing their planning, last week or two. So like that could impact stuff as well. What I will say, I think we get ISCs, SELs next week, right? So not like
last year it was first week of February. So I think that's right in line with what you're saying.
Yeah. So we're getting close to that. We know nothing about 4.1. Traditionally, they usually tell us that just before the previous patch like launches. So we know nothing about 4.1. We don't know much about really what their intents are at all this year, right? In terms of content that's coming out. So there's going to be some big news coming up soon, hopefully. And we'll see where it goes from that. And wait for 4.0 to be put in a decent state.
If at all. Like, it's okay for it not to be. It literally is okay for it not to be. But I think every patch, it needs to improve. And one of the things that we really haven't discussed is this huge struggle with the mission refactor, right? That is why we're not on live and why 324 is still up. They literally pointed that out. This is from Elliot on Spectrum, and just stating it's an absolutely huge task that I had a ton of hidden complexity and things. I mean, we've heard this for every single time things don't work. Oh, there was all this hidden complexity that we didn't anticipate or whatever. I don't know how people feel about hearing that. There will be commenters that are like calling bullshit on this and stuff like that, and
I believe
that's
it.
fine.
I believe it because it's always going to be like someone who worked at the company 8 years ago who did the coding who like everyone's like, what the hell did this person do? I don't understand it, right? Like that's a very common sort of retort that I hear from people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy who made the mission editor or
Like
whatever, the whole system is Tony Z. He's still a mystery.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
Right. So if he's not there, the rework has to be completely redone by somebody else that doesn't have access or may not. Nobody knows what this guy read. So it's one of those things where this is interesting. The big thing of the discussion of this post is a lot of missions have been taken out. They're not going away forever. Some may not. Some may come back looking completely different. The 890 jump mission was, the OP. It was like, hey, where's the 890 jump mission? I like that. And
it was also one of the most fun. Yeah, I loved that mission.
Yeah, I love the armor that was there. It was super cool.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those where it's going to take a while to get this dialed in, and they're letting us know that now. But I don't know. For me personally, missions are not something I think are that important in the sense of in traditional MMOs, they are your questing things. They are probably going to be focused, if they are focused on 1.0 at all, on creating the main story quest instead of doing missions for us in the PU. And I really hope that the sandbox elements of the game start being a bigger focus. And I don't think the mission refactor would be as important if we had better sandbox tools than we do now, because basically everyone is chomping at the bit for just tell me what to do. Game, I don't know what to do, and missions are really good at that. So I find myself begging for missions, but I shouldn't want them. I should want just be interacting with other players in other ways.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, missions are the way right now to just sort of
do anything.
Make yourself have immediate fun, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of contested zones, which are one of the best sandbox things they've added to the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it is, and the problem is, I think the systems that come in that will make missions obsolete in that sense, or not necessarily obsolete, but like less important, aren't coming in for a very long time. So you still need missions to work right now, and you need them to work for another couple of years at least. Yeah, I don't envy Elliot and the crew.
No, yeah, this is no knock on them whatsoever. Like, I don't know how long any of this stuff will take. It doesn't matter how long it'll take. It's just a matter of we cannot experience what we are experiencing now and what we have been experiencing for years. Missing markers, not being able to complete, like, it's that type of stuff. This is your opportunity to be rid of it forever. There's obviously going to be bugs occasionally, like during the PTUs and things like that. But the idea that this is still happening is incredible. This is one of the main sources of frustration for me personally. Is the mission systems is that, like, you've done a refactor and we still have the same problems.
Yeah.
So it's like, hopefully not for much longer. And I'm glad we don't have a lot of missions for that reason. Is get the ones that that you have actually working before you move on to other things. And that's another, why are we doing Save Stanton when this is super important? It should be all hands on deck on this kind of stuff probably. But again, not a game dev, not a programmer, don't know anything about the internals. And I'm just the guy on the outside of going, well, this doesn't make sense from my perspective, but what does my perspective mean? It doesn't mean anything.
I have a prediction about what the point of Save Stanton, like phase 2 is, especially like specifically because it's very different to the first, well, not phase 2, part 2, which is, I think this is supposed to be testing like grander reputation. This is the main test for that, right? For like actual reasonable rewards at the end. See what gameplay looks like when people are actively hostile to half the factions in a system, right? See what that actually ends up looking like when people try to play the game. So I think that's probably why they're doing it, because it's also, we've talked about reputation system, like it's in Pyro, but not really. It's just headhunters and CFP, and it doesn't really feel like there's much reason to go for either or anything. But freedom fighters and what like CFP, I guess, does feel like there's a reason. So it's like, all right, cool. We'll get as many people as we can to do this event. We'll get to see what reputation looks like and go from there.
Yep. And like always, we've talked about it for a while. Is I'm not seeing the narrative stuff well enough yet, and I really hope like they're spending their time getting the mission refactor just working, and then it's time to do like true quest lines, man. Like, I'm really looking forward to the day that, you know, mission, like, dude, we're doing this huge story quest. There's no dually talking to us. There's no mission givers. There's no voice line. Like, they've added some voice lines to the contested zones a little bit, and they're trying, but it's I feel like they're just trying to get this not bad and then do what they really want to do. And like, you know, is it living up to expectations? Well, my expectations were all the way down here, and I keep pretending like they should be here. And it's like, just be down here for right now, Mike. It's okay. It's okay. I have to just keep knocking myself down of where I should be. Like, it isn't the end of the world. None of this stuff is the end of the world. And at the end of the year and at the beginning of this patch, like you said, we did see what it could be, and it's just a matter of them getting it there. And I don't know. They still have so much more to put in, so much more instability to create. All the letter for the chairman from the chairman stuff. What will that be this year is what I struggle with.
I want to bring up, because you just mentioned narrative. So it looks like they added like a few more voice lines as well into 0.01 for like, you know, just the random civilians that are like in checkmate and stuff. I have felt very like, dare I say, immersed
a little bit.
Yeah, by them actually talking about like missions I'm doing. They're talking about factions I'm interacting with, and like it feels a lot better than Stanton, if that makes like.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like there is stuff happening around me, so they've done a good job at doing that just by adding regular voice lines. So I'll take that.
Yeah. It's the immersion stuff is cool, but it'll be it'll just hit a whole nother level when you're doing it with like the mission and the story that's being told to you. Instead of just like random wild lines at a station, right? And it's the first step, I guess, to that. And like, I think I heard two NPCs talking to each other about the factions, like who fights who doesn't like who. And it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's like, you know, those single player RPG things where you're like walking around and you hear two people talking to each other and then they give you a quest. Like, you're
just waiting for the like, someone to be like, oh man, those headhunters sure are nasty. I can't believe they blew up this outpost. And then you're just waiting for a little thing to appear. Like,
what outpost?
Go look at, well, not that, like a mission update. Hey, maybe you could go check out this outpost.
Yeah. It's cool. So again, gotta keep my expectations where they belong. And I told myself and reminded myself all last year, it's gonna be rough. It's rough.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise, people. It's rough. Right? So it just comes down to what the next couple patches are. And maybe I set the expectations for .1 too high.
.01.
.01. Yeah, should be clear about that, because .1 hopefully is...
.1, my expectations are higher, for sure.
Yeah. And I hope they recognize that they have to be. No more... Like... Keeping the expectations low right now is acceptable, but what CIG needs to understand is that there are no more excuses. The expectations are going from down here to up here with .1 from, I think, the entire community. And I don't know what's going to happen if they're not there. And I think more people will be upset than ever before. And I don't know if there's enough mods to delete the threads constantly on Spectrum for that. But yeah. I am not super prepared for callers just yet because I was
good.
yapping too
Well,
much.
then let me do a spiel. If you want to call in to answer the call, you can go to our Discord. If you're over on YouTube, it is linked on the chat, pinned at the chat at the top. Or if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, the Discord link is in the description, which someone said it might be an old link, so we'll update that one. If you're over on Twitch, !Discord, !podcast, follow the Discord. Head into the green room and we can slot you in. We've got a couple of people ready at the moment. We've got some room, though, for some extra callers. So feel free to join in, talk about the Daymar Rally, talk about 4.0.1. Yeah.
You want me to bring in Hudson Hawk? I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right. First caller is Hudson Hawk.
Hudson, how you doing?
Good morning. Good evening.
Good morning.
Howdy, howdy.
Oh, how you guys doing?
Okay.
I'm all right. Yeah.
So the Daymar Rally.
Mm-hmm.
We got second place.
No, you didn't. he's in my org. The team that got second place.
So DQ'd then, obviously.
Well, we did. They did get knocked out. They did not finish. DNF.
Yep.
Oh, rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We started off with about 5 bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after starter race, we had a crash due to desync, and then had a bunch of bikes kind of glitch out of the ship. Had to put them back, lost another bike, put it back in the ship. So we ended up with 2 bikes to do the rest of the rally.
How was your experience overall then?
I mean, after the launch, after the start, after everyone started getting away from us, it smoothed out pretty good, and it was very fun.
Good, I'm glad to hear it.
Looking forward to do it again. The SCR tool, that was interesting. It was very helpful. Before we even got to Eager Flats, we got a notification that we had finished a race, and we're kind of like, what?
Just glitching through the planet, just doing a straight line all the way to the
end. Right, yeah. But no, it was fun. I look forward to doing it again next year. Hopefully with a little bit more preparation. But I mean, we did pretty good for our first time out, I think.
Yeah.
As long as
you had fun, who cares?
Yeah, and you lucked out. You were in the half of the servers that launched.
Right. Yeah. So I was looking back, I was like, you know what? All things considered, at least we were able to compete.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Competing is kind of the most important thing, really.
Yeah. You want to talk about anything else?
Yeah, the Fortune. I was watching your video that they put up last night, Mike, and you were talking about the Fortune. You wouldn't want the Fortune to be like a vulture killer.
No,
you just kind of want to be a competitor. And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. We definitely need more ships to be not stepping stones, but we just need more ships to fill in. We're not really necessarily fill in.
What do they call it? Horizontal progression, right? I think that's what they said with the armors. We need similar stuff with
we need
ships.
more lateral ships. Yeah, for sure. It's
like
kind of
like in combat, like ignoring meta, which is a different conversation.
Yeah,
you have the choice of a Gladius or an Arrow, or a Vanguard or a Scorpius, right? That doesn't exist for non-cargo industrial yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, the lower tier of cargo it does, but as you get into higher and higher cargo capacities, it kind of tapers out to a point.
That's true as well. Yeah, the bigger ones. I have a video planned for that. I because of everything that we've talked about, I've really been unmotivated and trying to dig myself out of this whole personal life to try to just do that and be happy and all that kind of stuff. But that is a specific thing I'm going to talk about. We are missing that at the top end of cargo, and I feel like there's some cool ass real world examples of what they could do that would make it so neat. So I'm going to talk about that. And I've been researching real world cargo ships, like actual on the water cargo ships on like the Great Lakes, the ones that go through the Suez Canal and all that stuff. Not just the ones that hold boxes. So cool stuff. It's really, really neat.
Nice.
And that's what the video will be about.
Well, right on. But something that kind of occurred to me last night when I was watching is like, well, what if the Fortune holds more cargo, maybe a slight little bit more or whatever?
Then why use a vulture?
But it only does RMC. It only does hull scraping, whereas the vulture can do, the deconstruction.
The vulture only does hull scraping, because why would you give up the? Oh, this is at the moment, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
So your vibe for the future makes some sense, I think.
Yeah, well, I thought the vulture can do scraping and it can deconstruct like smaller ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything under MSR, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So what if they kind of had like 3 different ships? So you had like an hull scraping only. The vulture's kind of like jack of all trades, and then they have a deconstruction only.
I don't like that idea necessarily.
Yeah, like you can do that, but I don't think that's as fun as like, messing with the stats more, like making it so. Yeah. So it's like you still have, like, if you want to do both hull scraping and small structural, you can do it with either of these 2 ships. But this one, even with what you're saying, you can still make it work. You can be like, this one has that 20% bonus to structural salvage. This one has that 20% bonus to scraping. And so it's like you still have the ability to do both
without taking something away from somebody.
Exactly.
Right?
Not making niche ships.
Exactly. That's trash, and that's what we've had for a really long time, and I don't think that's good. Like the idea that you basically just use the mole if you were mining efficiently. You would never, there's no situation where you would use a prospector, where before there was no situation where you'd use a mole, and they haven't quite figured that out yet. And that's what I think you would want to avoid completely. Right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much all I have.
Okay.
I haven't been able to play in the P2 since I haven't been able to download it, but
sure.
I just keep on getting errors trying to download, so I was like, screw it.
Yeah, somebody was saying that in my Twitch chat today.
Yeah.
2000 error or something?
I was getting a different one. So I tried to... So I work at a place that has like a LAN and has like streamer pods. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try to go in there and try to stream. The only game that does not want to download on or install specifically on these computers is Star Citizen. It is the only one that has a problem. No, it's not they know. It has nothing to do with that. It's because Star Citizen has its own little errors that no other game has, and so it just won't work. It's someone in channel know. It's like the 5007 error. It's like you've got to. It's on like certain Samsung SSDs. It won't install, and so you got to do some stuff. It's very silly. But anyway, that's just my little.
That is odd. Samsung that is weird.
That's odd, yeah. But all right, Hudson, anything else before we let you go?
Nope, that's good.
All right, sounds good, dude. And hopefully we'll see you in game if you're able to download it.
And hopefully next year you'll win the Daymar Rally.
Hopefully. If you need help tomorrow, I'll be more than happy to help you with the.
I'm gonna put out a ping to the org about the part 3 for Save Stanton Chapter 1. All right, catch you.
See you.
Yeah, man.
All right, so that was Hudson Hawk, and now we're bringing in PC 101. Hello, PC.
PC.
Hey. Thanks, everyone. On the other guy.
What's up?
Hey, so hi.
Hello.
Howdy.
So I wasn't planning talking about the Fortuner, but it got me thinking as you guys were talking about it. I think Fortuner, I can't say this word, but I think that's going to be the org salvage ship, and the Vulture's going to be the solo salvage ship, because the Vulture has the advantage of it has technically a little bit more space. We can put boxes to the side.
Yes, but you can do 39 technically.
Yeah. But it's a bit of a pain for an org because they have to go around the back, open the door, pull the boxes out. Whereas the Fortuner's on the outside, so while you're salvaging, another ship can easily come up, grab the boxes off the sides, move on to the next ship. So I feel like one's going to be good for solo, one's going to be good for orcs.
Could be.
It could be a decent like I feel like the Reclaimer is still like the Goliath of orcs, right? But maybe like 2-3 players, you know, where it's like maybe it's a bit too much to go around and mess with the Reclaimer, or alternatively, you just want to be having salvage in multiple different locations. That would be a massive upgrade, right? Just the ease of movement.
Because one of the, I guess, criticism a lot of people had with the Vulture was the pain of running up and down to move the boxes. So I can't imagine that is not a conveyor belt. Because you can imagine every time you want the box comes out, you're going to get out your ship, tractor beam the box along, get back in your ship. So I'm pretty sure that's like going to be a conveyor belt.
What if?
If they listen to feedback, yeah, probably, right?
I was gonna say, what if there's buttons and you can move the boxes with the buttons from your cockpit, and it goes
down,
on the conveyor
left,
belt to
right,
wherever you need.
X.
Oh my gosh, that would be cool.
But my plan was to speak about the expectations of 0.1, and it doesn't. I'd say over the holidays, I probably 60% of my time has just been trying to play the game from problems with the back end, like inventory delay, stuff not equipping, the buttons not working. Just everything seems to be back end, especially around about prime time, EU time. The servers just completely die, and that feeds into the US prime time. None of those problems appear to be fixed on the PTU, which is I was expecting this is when they would get a lot of that back end stuff like nailed down.
That's where I went in with, I think I had too high expectations, and why I wanted to have this conversation is because are we right to feel that way? Maybe not for this one, but if it's not in the next, if it's not in the 0.2 or the 0.1, whatever comes next, then I think I'm justified to be like really annoyed by what's going on and starting to point at the letter from the chairman and go, where, buddy, where are you? Or do you just write this thing up every year and that's it, and then just never follow it ever? Like, so, but for this first one, it's like sort of an excuse. I think you live in, Europe, kind of. What, like, this is just what goes on, is my understanding, is people just poof for a little while in the winter and the summer, and it's just how it is. We don't do that in the US, so it's hard for us to understand because we just work and we never stop. But not the way it works in Europe, is my understanding. My wife is Italian, and she tells us that well, they don't work at all. So yeah, I don't know.
Is the server stuff not Austin though?
No.
The tech, like the tech is Europe. The server stuff that you might be referring to is like when they're doing testing, they'll use Boston.
No, I thought like the Austin team was one for all the server tech stuff in the background.
I don't believe so. I believe Austin is literally just...
Where was the server meshing video?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was not in Austin. It was a bunch of people meeting up in the UK with a bunch of accents that were not Texas.
Yeah, I think as far as I'm aware, the Austin...
There's some key people in Austin. But they're more the publishing and like the when it's live, keeping it alive.
And some QA, I believe.
Then the other one I was going to ask: Do you think Pyro meets the expectations of what they advertised Pyro as being? My expectations when Pyro was going to be, I'd have to gear up, I'd get all my stuff together, then it'd be like going into null space, and I would like this high risk that I wouldn't get out. Everything would be sparse, but it feels very much just a copy paste of Stanton. The fact that I can like fully re-up with guns and armor right outside the door of the contested zone feels like where's the sparseness? Where's everyone competing? I'd have to worry about fuel. I'd have to worry about repairing my ship. I thought people would be fighting over missiles and doing hull scraping to fix their ships up. None of that stuff. It just feels like a copy paste.
Go ahead, Croncy.
In some regards, yeah. Like I do think people certainly are competing for some things. It's just specifically things like tweaker mods and like general area supremacy. Like there's a lot of fight. Like if you have a crew that's doing some work down at Trawler's Beach, almost always there is like going to be fights there, is what I've experienced a lot over the last few weeks. But like, yeah, I would like to see the economy mess around with stuff at these stations so that, yeah, I can't just go back in. Like I come into Pyro with 1 million UEC. I should be worried about losing that UEC if I don't start doing missions, and I'm not. Because I can, like, you feel very secure in the stations. I think maybe that's the case. That's the issue. You just hard reset yourself whenever you need.
I think he's pointing out, like, we got these guys that are mega focused on economy, and the economy of Pyro makes 0 sense.
Yeah,
that's out of the expectations of what, like, when he initially was saying, like, oh, well, you know, expectations. Well, my expectations were super low for 4.0 in the sense of I was hoping it was just going to be, let's get server meshing working, optimized, don't care about the content in the game, only care about the tech, right? That's all I cared about. But it ended up being more than that. There is a bit of content. And one of the things that just never made sense to me was that nearly everything that's available in Stanton is available in Pyro. Nearly everything that is bought and sold, like, you know, for cargo commodities and things like that, are available in Pyro. The missions pay more in Pyro than they pay anywhere else. And these are people that, like, there's garbage everywhere, like, but they're billionaires. They must be trillionaires, and no, they can't pay anybody to clean up garbage, right? Like, that's the kind of thing that it's just like, it's a bit weird where there's just money flowing everywhere, but everybody looks poor, and it's just like, it's just there's some weird sense that's not happening.
I'll fight one of those, which is missions should pay more in Pyro because the risk is higher.
There should be less of them then.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing is, and I think that they tried to do that, which is not cool, because there shouldn't be less missions, of the idea that the only thing we have is missions, which is what we were talking about before. So you don't want to take content away from people, but it did not meet my expectations from that standpoint, where it was just like, oh, this is. Like, I just look at this and go, this is weird. And that's it. Like, I'm not angry. I'm not sad. I'm just like, this is weird. I don't expect it to stay this way. And if I had any question economy-wise, if they ever were on an SCL, it would just be like, why? Like, what? Explain this. Because it doesn't make sense to me. Try to make it make sense to me, because it's not. Like, I agree with you. The danger, like danger pay, right? With that stuff, but it's just the money's like, it's like $100K to move 6 boxes. Like, what?
Yeah,
it's just overblown. It's super weird.
I expected people to be coming from Stanton and Gemini's to fuel people that run out of fuel and all this kind of stuff, but
I think that's a little too high. A failure. I think that's a failure of the mechanic, and like, I mean, it still goes to what you were saying, PC. Like, you're right. I just think that's a failure of the refueling mechanic more than necessarily Pyro itself.
But the refueling, like, they fixed it. It was weird. It works.
No, I don't mean as in terms of buggy. I mean as in it's not fun. It's not profitable, so people aren't going to do it.
Because you can't make the fuel yourself yet, I guess. Is that what you mean?
That would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Like, there's no current inbuilt game ways for people to do trust either. So, like, if you were to do that, if you think that refueling was the most fun mechanic ever, you're still probably going to 50-50 chance that your ship's going to just get killed the second you get into Pyro. There's no mechanics for you to vet people or anything.
Yeah, if they came on an SCL or an ISC and sat down and basically said what you said, is like, hey, we're missing all these other tools that we would really want to do to, like, really dial in the player-to-player economy stuff, and that's why we're doing all these things the way we're doing them. I would be like, okay, cool. My only other question would be like, well, are you prioritizing those? Like, are those things that we should expect anytime soon? Or are you doing the same thing that you always do, which is like, here are the 500,000 things that need to be done to make Star Citizen happen, and here's the ship sale, and we're not going to do any of those because we got to get the next ship sail out. So it's that's the question, right? Is will they dial that in? I don't know. I certainly hope this is a different
speaking reputation.
Yeah, I don't want to go on a rant about refueling, but it does make me think, like the whole reason, like a lot of people when they talk about the refueling mechanic are like, this was a really good idea for Star Citizen. Look how it's done Elite Dangerous. Everyone wants to be a fuel rat, blah, blah, blah. The problem is, in Elite Dangerous, you refuel yourself 99 times out of 100 the second you get into a star system, and you're done. You're good. That doesn't exist in Star Citizen. So if you're going to have a finite fuel resource in Starset, and then you're going to try to force people to do refueling, I think it's not going to work as well.
Agreed, 100%. Agreed.
Yeah, it's a very
100%. You want to create avenues for people to play together, but you do not want to create situations where your only option is to use somebody else, and it is a limited, like, I had to pay $200, $300, $400 for this spaceship in order to have it, or millions and millions of credits, and they don't have them on day one. It's there aren't enough options to make it make sense, which is all fair. But at some point, we need to stop with that stuff and make it happen, right? And the way they went about making Pyro is very weird, and it's it's just weird. Like, just talk to me. Just talk to me. I want to hear lots of talks about economy this year. Once a month, once a quarter, every patch, updates to the economy. Talk to us about what you're doing, what you want to do. I love those talks. I think they're super fun. And hopefully they're willing to engage back and forth. I have not liked what I've heard from them a few times. I think one of them made some comment about me, that I have a bunch of ships and that's why I feel the way that I did. And it's like, no, I want all the ships to be viable because you want small, like we talked about it earlier with the Vulture and the and that kind of thing. So it's we need to have those back and forths as much as possible so they're not misunderstanding the feedback even, right? Like I think they misunderstood one of my bits of feedback in my questions one time. And it's if we can have this back and forth and we're constantly having these conversations with some of the most important teams, I think we're going to get a better game for it. It's going to be awesome. And we just need more of that. That's So interesting question, PC, but it's
soon.
When you really think about it, it's there's some weirdness with it. Also, I didn't tell you because it doesn't really matter, but obviously, in case people don't know, PC makes YouTube videos and streams. Your microphone has some wild feedback on it, so you might want to like plug it in and unplug it, and see what's up with that. But we'll let you go, man.
All right, have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye now.
Cheers.
So and check PC out if you guys haven't yet. PC 101 everywhere. Next caller, I hope you can hear us. We'll give you some time because you're muted and all that. Is Masisaries? Did I get it right? Masisaries. There you go.
Hi.
Yeah, you hear us. Hello.
First time caller.
Let's go.
Welcome in.
So I watch you guys all the time, but you've always been so early that I haven't been able to get on.
Nice.
Yep.
So you're here. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you talk about?
Well, I kind of like the MISC Fortune. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not a big Drake fan on this aesthetics, but I have the Vulture just because, salvaging.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're forced to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly. So I'm really hyped for the MISC Fortune being a salvage vehicle, and looking forward to trying that out. I like their aesthetic a little bit better. I hope, like SaltEMike said, that it is just the same.
With the little difference, it can't be the same.
Well, you know what I mean. The same as in like
the
not
same
wildly.
You do the same things, but it's not like at a disadvantage or at an advantage in any way or whatever.
Well, once again, not in any way. It just needs to not be, hey, if you want to salvage, you should only use this ship. That's
exactly.
If you're familiar with racing at all, think the Le Mans 24-hour race, right? There's a bunch of different classes. Like there's GT and there's all these other, there's the supercars. Like as long as we're in the same class of ship, and it's not a GT car that races like a supercar, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I hope that it is just one laser that's size 2, but I hope that size 2 equivalates to just the same as the 2 size 1s together or whatever.
Well, what's interesting about salvage, I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware, it's one of the only times I've seen them really do this, is you have a size 2 laser on the reclaimer, but if you were to put that laser... it's the other way around. If I was putting the size 1 attachment onto the reclaimer, it would do better than the Vulture, even though it's the same exact attachment. Reason being is the reclaimer has a bonus to RMC and construction material production built into it. So
right, because all their little inner stats that they can adjust.
Yes. So that existing could be something that they could do to dial this MISC Fortune in whatever direction they want to go. Right?
Right, exactly. And honestly, I like the idea of only having to deal with one instead of trying to aim with 2 lasers and messing around with that.
That's true. I didn't really think about it that way.
Yeah. There's also, you might get punished. That is because you've now got 1 laser that can break opposed to 2 lasers that can break.
Or
right, exactly.
The mechanic of spreading them out with the Vulture and salvaging faster because you have more diameter of your laser that's being used. So lasers.
Right, higher width because you can like set them side by side.
Correct.
Yeah.
Move them around a little bit more.
Yeah. I just hope that it does have a tractor beam so that you can still kind of move stuff around if you need to, or...
I'm very curious. Like, will this thing have a tractor beam, like one that the pilot seat can manage on the outside? There's so many questions still with this.
Could that be what that little thing is on the left? Just like a very basic tractor beam?
Could be.
Either that or like the shattering thing. Like, I figure it's one of those. It has to be something.
Yeah. Hard to say. It's there's so many answers that they give with these are the 2 best sneak peeks I've seen in a while. It answers so many questions and creates 10 more. So whenever the ISC happens, like everyone's going to be glued to it to be like, what is this thing? Cool.
By the way, guys, here's the MISC Fortune. It's a 4-wheeled ground vehicle.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay.
Right. We're all just talking about it's not even the MISC Fortune. It's just some other.
Yep.
It's like, oh, this is the MISC Fortune. This is something else. Oh, wait, what? So yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed also, I like the interior view they kind of sneak peeked.
Yeah.
In the interior, you can see through the windows the cargo grids there. So you can kind of see that your cargo's there.
Well, assuming it is a cargo grid.
Well, if it's the same view, if you look at the outside view and the inside view, they're the same.
I know.
It's just one's the back side of it.
And I'm just stating, like, assuming with 100% certainty.
Oh, that those are actual cargo grids.
It is 99.99% a cargo grid. I'm just being devil's advocate. That's all.
If you look at all the new ships, if you look at any of the new ships, that is exactly what the cargo grids look like. They have the same like pattern on it.
Yep.
We don't know if it's a conveyor belt or whatever.
That would be so cool.
Most definitely a cargo grid.
I feel like this also probably lends more to the idea of it being like extends out, because otherwise, why do you have a window to look at a wall?
Well, like I said, you can see around it, so you have the ability there, and if you see, there's the crafting panels.
Yep.
Like you have it up on screen and stuff. So you can see that's where you craft like a multi-tool or whatever. I'm sure that it'll have the same functionality, and it's got the buttons there for kicking it out of the buffer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gives you the ability to look through those windows and say, okay, I got this many on the system.
Yep.
And that's also what I think brings credence to the whole, like, it might be a conveyor belt system, because you can just see it coming out and know, okay, I have this on there. And I would, like, unless there's maybe a panel, maybe use that above window panel thing to control some kind of tractor beam and move it. And this is a 2-person ship and it has to be 2 people.
But the problem with all that and how it, like, that's what I'm worried about, though, is if they go the exact same size as the Vulture, but it's all automated and I never have to get out of the seat.
Right.
Then it's better than the Vulture.
Of a difference
it's
to just
so much better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, to make it to where it's like, that's okay, I'm trading in. Especially if it's in a cheaper price point.
Yeah. Which, doubt.
I hope that it's not, actually, because I want to upgrade my Vulture to it. So,
as does everyone, because it's a better Vulture. You're 100% correct.
Exactly. So we'll see where they go with it. But again, I didn't think that some sneak peeks like this would be so kind of cool and conversational and telling. But I do think, we have not had a lot of these career types been put in the game, and mining's been cool, but mining's gone through its growing pains, and it's still not in a place that I think anyone's super happy with it yet. But a lot of people really like salvage. It's the simplicity of it is nice, and the ability for it to get complex is even cooler. And the I just think they hit home runs kind of with salvage, and they have a lot of opportunities to make some cool ships with it, and I hope this is one.
Yep.
Right, I hope so too. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to release Stella Fortuna just because of the name?
When is that?
It'd be funny. It's St. Patrick's Day,
March.
whenever that is.
March?
Yeah,
I think it's coming within the next, like, this is, we are in our full marketing swing with this ship. So I think it'll be one of the first ISCs, and it'll come with the 0.1.
They do also tend to release the ship in January or February. So, like,
they need to make money.
Slot it in, yeah.
I could see that too.
Yeah, I
guarantee.
It's not
I will say,
changing from last year. We're getting a ton of ship sales.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
It
gets a Stella Fortuna paint for sure.
No matter what, it's gonna get a Fortuna paint. And if they don't, then that's just silly, because the name. It's like, okay, it's the MISC Fortune.
I'm gonna add something on top of this. This motherfucker better be able to use all my prospector paints.
Hopefully, is the it does look a.
It's a whole different.
How different is the hull? Right? Because, like, as an example, like the Raft and the Mole are supposed to be the same platform. They've got a lot of stuff different with them. They are different hulls. They can't use the same skins.
To be clear, I doubt too. I see everyone going doubt, no shot.
Yeah.
I also doubt.
It'd be cool.
But that's what I want. Okay, I can pray, I can want, but I know it's not going to happen. But I still want it.
I think it also helps. A lot of the prospector skins are, like, pretty basic for the most part.
You need to relax. You need to relax, okay? Because my icebreaker and the winter one with the white and the blue, you need to relax because they slap and they're awesome.
I'm not saying they're bad, Mike. I'm saying they're basic, so they're probably
watch your mouth,
very
sir.
easy to transfer.
Those
are like my favorite skins in the game on any ship.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll get one no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because next year rolls around, it'll probably be one of those ships that gets a paint if it's anything like any good at all.
Yeah,
because that's usually a popularity-based stuff.
Yeah.
So
sorry, just quickly, someone in the YouTube chat made a really good point, which is Lunar New Year is about good fortune.
Duh.
So maybe they do it for that.
Red paint incoming. Yep, totally forgot. Somebody mentioned that in my chat when we were talking about it this week too. When does that start? That
starts.
That's
beginning February. Yeah.
Yeah, late Jan, early Feb, usually.
It is Wednesday, January 29th this year. It starts.
Okay, cool.
So that
is when the ship releases.
Probably, yeah.
There you go.
So it's not a salvaging ship. It's actually an envelope collecting ship.
Yes. Oh my god! It's a mail truck.
Oh,
that's what it is. It's literally a mail truck. It makes total sense.
I'm so into that.
Yep. 100%. That's so
I can
funny.
dig it.
Yep.
So you guys were talking about like how Pyro doesn't make sense financially.
Economically,
there's a lot of problems with the economic.
Well, see, how I see it is that'll maybe make more sense when they get in the main story quests and we start seeing these overarching guilds, because I think that's where the real money flows from when we're doing missions and all these things, to make sense of why we get paid more in Pyro and have the danger pay. Is the money's not really coming from Pyro, it's coming from these entities that exist in all the systems.
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's one.
Headhunters don't, Citizens for Pyro don't. I'm confused.
Right.
Well,
right. They run the stations. They got to have some money. They're a gang. They sell drugs. They do these things.
Yeah. The thing that I was going to say is they sell a lot of black market stuff.
Yeah. So
that's where all these military components and stuff are supposed to be coming from.
Yeah.
Right.
But the issue that we're talking about, just to differentiate what you're saying versus, and like maybe misunderstanding us, is, well, I'm selling RMC there for the same price I'm selling it in Stanton. I'm selling...
Yes, that stuff needs to change.
Yeah, that's my issues with it, is it's a lot less the missions, because the missions should not be the center of the gameplay in the game. It is the sandbox elements of the game is what makes zero sense. Yeah.
And I agree, because it doesn't make sense for me to go to Pyro and sell RMC at a rate that's the same as in Stanton.
Stanton is an industrial powerhouse. It makes sense to extract from Pyro and bring to Stanton. That's what makes sense to me.
Or
maybe even vice versa.
I'm 100% going to fight you on that.
How?
The way that I see it is Pyro should be paying more for RMC and whatnot, because they're not allowed to legally trade in Stanton and whatnot, because they're all criminals. So they have to pay that extra price for RMC in order to survive.
Oh, well, that's the easy thing to argue against you with, is RMC can be found in Pyro, though. So it's not like the RMC comes from Stanton. The RMC is the so just let me try and make it clear.
Right,
we all know the story. We all know the story of Pyro. The story of Pyro is there's a lot of resources there, and they're the highest end resources. They're the most valuable resources, right? But who needs those resources more than anybody? It's these industrial powerhouses like ArcCorp, Microtech, Hurston, and Crusader, right? Because they're doing all the industry. So the raw resources come from Pyro to Stanton. So the demand and supply. You're in Pyro, there's a ton of supply, less demand for these resources. Therefore, the price should be low. There is no supply in Stanton for these high-value resources, and no supply, or I don't think I said it right, but there should be a ton of demand for the high-value resources in Stanton and no supply of it. Therefore, the prices are high. That is not what we currently have now. It's basic economics that do not exist in the game. So it's very easy to argue against you guys with this.
That is assuming that players are the only economy within the lore of the game.
Well,
and they're not.
We know they're not, but it doesn't matter. It's just simple economics. The stuff is here.
No, it does.
There's no factories.
Because
the stuff is there. There's factories, right?
Yeah, except also part of the lore of Pyro is it was no longer profitable for large businesses to mine resources there. So you would assume that Stanton is no longer purchasing resources from Pyro. They're now purchasing it from XYZ location where other people are bulk mining those sort of things, right? I will say as well, I think the specific example of RMC is probably a bad one, because RMC is available practically everywhere. And so it's like, yeah, sure. Like Rysite's a fine example for us as players to sell to like both industries and, you know, these other factions. What I would say is those factions, those criminal factions, probably still need to pay a higher rate if they want those materials, but they probably have a significantly worse demand, like amount demand, right?
But again, the supply is there and the demand is lower. It's just simple, like the price would be lower.
It wouldn't, because they can't trade legally. That's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing that changes all of this. Because they can't trade legally, they have to pay a premium
for the end product.
For any parts of the product, if they're wanting it. Like if someone wants to, like in your example, Billy the criminal mastermind wants some Rickite, right? If he wants that Rickite for whatever reason, CRG decide that he wants that Rickite.
It's in his backyard.
Then
it's in Billy's backyard.
Then he's not paying for it. He's not asking you for it. That's not a thing he's going to want. So that's an irrelevant point. You're not going to sell it to him at all.
Okay. Billy isn't the one doing the mining, though. Billy is the criminal mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
So Billy is buying it, but he's buying it from miners who live in Pyro, and they can't get a good price because they can't sell outside of Pyro or whatever the example that you're giving. So they're selling it at cheap.
It's not
to
they
the
can't
pirate.
get it. It's not they can't get a good price. They can't get a price that is going to be insured by safety. They're not going to end up getting murdered when they come and do the.
Can I real world example you?
Thingy? Yeah.
Now, please, guys, I'm going to preface this with no comments around any of this stuff. We're not going down this route. There are sanctions on Russia right now for the reasons. And what's happening right now is there's a bunch of ships, because of all the research that I was talking about earlier, there's a bunch of fuel ships out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. And they're all illegally trading to get through these sanctions from China or from Russia to China, I think. And China is buying the fuel at a lower price because Russia can't do anything but sell to them. So they're leveraging that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Russia can get the price there because there's no sanctions. Like in your example,
Russia is not getting a good price because they can't sell it. There's no competition.
They are getting their only price,
which is lower than the market price. Understood?
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But the example that you're using in Star Citizen, we have a choice. So that doesn't, the analogy doesn't really work there. We have the choice of we're still allowed to trade with either of these people. We aren't sanctioned. We're fine.
No.
So we trade. We want to trade with whoever. Well, one of two options: either whoever gives us the best price, or whoever's not going to murder us when we try to sell the items. Right?
I know I'm right here. I know I'm right. I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm right.
Crazy.
I know it's like simple economics.
This
is crazy to me. This is crazy to me. Supply and demand.
We can all agree that we want variance. That we want the economy to
we all want variations. We all want the economy to change in Pyro. The only thing I was fighting against is I
look forward to the day when I go to Stanton and I can get stuff there cheaper and go to Pyro and sell it, get stuff there cheaper and take it to Stanton and sell it.
And what would those things be?
Yeah. It doesn't matter as long as there's some kind of variance where it can change.
Yeah. The argument I'm making is raw materials would be cheaper in Pyro and the finished product would be cheaper in Stanton because supply and demand.
One thing I was going to say is there should be some items, like for example, food that I imagine is very, very hard to get in Pyro, right?
Right. We have that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We have that, which is kind of cool. But they did the same thing where they, for whatever reason, they did this weird thing where both systems have very similar prices, and you could buy and sell in both systems the same product. And it was, if anybody has noticed it, I think it's not processed food, but there's two types of food now, and one of them is 17K, and it's really good food, and that you're buying in Stanton and selling to Pyro, but the different it's just they've done it very oddly, and not human food bars. There's another one, and that's the thing that we're pointing out is there's just very common things that are not happening in the game that are just odd as hell. And I don't know.
There's also when we were talking about the topic itself, we were talking as well about you go to a contested zone, you get deleted, and then you just put 20,000 UEC into the thing, and you're essentially fully kitted with a P4, all that sort of stuff, right?
Right.
It should be less of those things should be available, right? I actually wouldn't be surprised if these systems only had pistols. That's it, right? Pistols and and daggers, very, very basic weapons that you can buy, and then everything else you've got to loot or you've got to bring over from Stanton, that sort of stuff.
Well, see, I don't necessarily agree with that because any gang or environment like that.
Well, you got to build rep with them in that case, right? And I think Croncy
yeah,
would be.
yeah,
I think
and
Croncy
that's
means
what
like
I want to see
at a
is the
basic
rep
level.
side, where it's like you got to get up
exactly.
in them to get the higher stuff. You can't just go to the basic market and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, I want all your best guns."
Yeah. Oh, and the commodity I see in chat is called fresh food. It's a new commodity. So
Okay, cool.
there's processed food, which is like crappy food, and then there's fresh food, which is like you don't get fresh food in Pyro because they can't grow it or something like that, right? So the fresh food is, again, lots of it in the Stanton system, maybe less demand, but there's tons of demand in Pyro. So I would be selling that at a premium in Pyro, but I wouldn't be able to sell it at a premium in Stanton. My argument right now is I'm able to sell it at a premium in both places.
Yeah, that's for sure a problem.
That's what I'm trying to say, Croncy. That was the argument I was making.
Yeah, regardless of law economics, which we got very deep into, they need to be different straight up.
Yes, that was my argument, and that's what I was trying to argue. And as usual, I'm very dumb and don't know how to make my point very clear. That was the point I was making. There is stuff that is in Pyro that is not in Stanton. There is stuff that is in Stanton that is not in Pyro. But the current way they did things is both things are there at shops, and both things sell and buy for nearly the same price.
Yeah.
It's goofy. So
you know what I do want to see now, though, Mike? I've gotten a little obsessed with this one guy who does these YouTube videos of like the economy of Mario's Island in Mario Sunshine. And
please link me this.
Channel.
It's
so good. It's so good. And so I just want that for Star Citizen. To someone just go around to all the NPCs, try to find out who's employed, who's not, all that stuff. Anyway.
Good luck with that. It won't make any sense.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah, not at this point. No way.
Yeah. So sorry. That's what the point.
Yeah, we took up a lot of your time.
No, that's okay. It was a good conversation. You know, I like listening to. The only other thing is, 4.01. I like it. It's the only thing I've been able to play because unfortunately, I had a weird series of events in the actual game, and I was switching servers. I had bedlogged. My team blew up my ship, and as I was signing in, and then the server black screened, and now my account's just literally broken. Yeah, so I've only been able to play 4.01 for the last couple weeks. And honestly, I like it. I think that it's pretty good. I don't know what else to say about it, really. There's still a lot of the same stuff that was in the main game.
Sorry, we're sharing the economy videos in the chat. I'm clicking them.
That's okay. I hope that it cooks a little bit longer, even though I want it to come out, because I'm hoping that when it comes out, it like the soft reset they do when they patch fixes my account.
It could.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. But also, I still want it to cook because, like I said, I've played it, and there's a lot of the same stuff still happening. So,
all right. Well, we got a ton of people anyway, and we went on hard on the economy for a while. So,
yep. Well, it was great being on here. Hopefully, I'll hop on sometime. You guys have a wonderful day.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for the call.
Great first call.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Croncy. Thanks, SaltEMike.
Catch you.
Take it easy.
Bye,
guys.
Upcoming video: SaltEMike and Croncy discuss the Star Citizen economy,
or the global economy, like where we went for a little while there. But again, I've been doing so much research, so that had come up this like illegal fuel sale, and it was like, oh shit, this is crazy. So yeah, it was. I found those videos to be incredibly interesting. I didn't know fuel ships transferring fuel to each other in the middle of the ocean with just some tubes and stuff. It was neat stuff. So I found it super interesting outside of all the political bullshit I don't care about. I just care about the ships. But Clever
Classic
Bard,
Mike always only cares about
exactly.
The
I'm a Star Citizen fan. What do you want from me? So Clever Bard, you're here. What do you want to talk about? And please don't say global economic issues.
No, I'm from more of like an independent industrial background with commercial fishing. So
there you
I've
go.
seen a lot of that where you got like massive processing vessels that take independent fisheries. Talk about cargo space and stuff. Look up 32-foot commercial vessels with like 6 holds, and it's take a look at that, Mike. It's
But you have to give me more detail. That seems like it's a hard search the way you said it. Also,
So,
are you close to your mic? Can you turn your mic volume up maybe a little bit?
Oh, is this better?
Well, much better. There, yeah, thank you.
Okay. I have a directional mic, so I'm talking right into it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So look up Bristol Bay gill netting, and you'll get a bunch of videos from that.
Bristol,
So you got
what? Gill netting?
Bristol Bay, Alaska.
Bristol Bay.
Bay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's 32 foot is the maximum size of the fishing vessels, and then we offload our catch in these brailer bags that hold 1,000 pounds. So it's like one SCU basically. And you have to keep the fish floating in the hold in cold water. So one of the things that drew me to Star Citizen is like cargo, and then specific conditions for cargo is like very near and dear to my history there. So
yeah, you might like this video that I'm doing, but this is also good for that video as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys who try to make social media lifestyle out of showing what that looks like. So there's plenty of footage for what you're looking for there, and it's relatable. Like one of the things I wanted to talk about is just sticking with the theme. What is the new year going as we would have expected it? And I think it is. We don't know what it looks like to decouple feature development from content creation so far. So, I mean, this is just trying to get 4.0 stable. This is not that.
This is not that.
So I'm really looking forward to what that looks. I'm really looking forward to what that looks like. But I think, listening to all the other people talk, compartmentalization seems to be the theme. Whether you're talking about the economy, whether you're talking about industrial ships that they're making. It seems like salvage is salvage, and we're not going to have like a salvage and mining ship, right? We're compartmentalizing, but that creates synergy. So it's kind of a paradox, right? And like Pyro and its economy, where I see people not understand this the way that I do. So I want your guys' opinion. Maybe I'm way off on this, but Pyro isn't profitable for the massive resource extraction of like interplanetary industrial organizations, but it is profitable for people who are independent and individual. It's the same that, so like,
Pyro Amalgamated already cleaned it out.
They cleaned it out from the types of things they could clean out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then what's left is valuable, but it's only extractable from individuals. So I think that's where people lose it is they say, well, because a massive corporation isn't profitable there, how could I, as an independent person, be profitable? It's like, well, in commercial fishing, you've got a tide and you've got the fish, and they're on this tiny stream, and you got to be kind of lucky but kind of smart, and you put your net in the water at the right time in the right place. You could make $10,000 in an hour, but if you're not, if you're a massive corporation, that's just not, you can't do that. It's not justifiable. And you got pirates, and you got solar flares and stuff like that.
Yeah. The way that I think about it is like, like years ago during all the big gold rushes, like worldwide, you would have sometimes large organizations or whatever, come in, fully just bore out these places and just get insane amounts of gold. Nowadays, people will, buy those locations that people haven't been to for ages.
You got Gold Rush,
sift through the rest.
Show. That's basically the whole show.
Literally,
right?
Exactly. Alaskan Gold Rush, great TV show. Yeah, and they make a bunch of money. Obviously profitable for them, not profitable for a 100, 200 person organization or whatever.
And so I guess what I'm hoping for in 2025, like, what is stability? You know what I mean? Because they keep on talking about we want stability, and I think people will, and I've heard you say this, Mike and Croncy, where don't work on new, don't fix the old game, make the new game, like make the game, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a bunch of spaghetti code at the moment. Nothing's really compartmentalized.
We're not playing SC right now.
No, but I think what people might want from that is to just make the features, and they're all interconnected and they all depend on each other. But like for me, stability isn't just playability and it isn't just gameplay. Like stability is perpetual. You release a patch, you're not going to break transit. You release a patch, you're not going to break missions.
Yes.
You're not going to break character movement. Like getting these independent things that should never break, never get even touched by the new code. But right now, it seems like, well, I mean, for the past 11, 12 years, every time we release a new patch,
everything breaks.
Everything, and they need to take as much time as they need to compartmentalize these systems. And I think we saw a little bit of that hinted in the ATC refactor that they didn't do for the cargo 3.24.2 or whatever. They were saying we need to fix this instead of like mend it.
Exactly.
Rip it out and start over. I think that will give them the ability to then integrate the new things together. So, and that's my 2 cents on that. And then the last thing I think is they've got a lot more ships done and in the pipeline ready to go than we're used to.
Maybe.
I think they have a lot of ships ready to go.
They usually sell when they're ready to go.
But I think
they've been holding some. So if you go over the monthly reports from last year, there's still missing ships that haven't been released.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah,
that are either done or like were being
unannounced. We don't know the names. We have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
With them. Yeah,
it is possible
to release ships.
It is possible some of them got canned. Like we may be in the world where like they previously only canned ships like in the concept stage. Or sometimes white box. There is a world where maybe we're at the stage where they start canning ships that aren't worth it once they're like done. I don't know if we're that far ahead yet, but maybe it's a case.
I would start getting used to that as they're, they got really fast. I think it was the C1 or no, it was the Zeus. They did in a single year. That was relatively
and the Spirit,
ship.
the Zeus and the Spirit. They did in single years. Yeah.
I'm part of the 1% that thinks the Ironclad's going to come out in Invictus this year, but that's just me.
We'll see. It's a big box.
So Invictus is like 4 months away. That's too soon.
Sorry, I'm thinking IAE. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe I'm part of the 0.1% then.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Super
you're crazy, bro.
But I do think they have a lot more ships done. I think they're getting a lot faster at ships because
definitely
with the changes to the corporate that are going on, I think it's interesting how marketing is going to shift, and as marketing has shifted in the messaging and with the direction of the game itself changing to be more of a game. I think things are getting more efficient and they're getting better at that. And
I think they want to be.
2025.
I think they want to be, and I think they need to prove that they are. And I think 4.0.1, like you said, the expectations should never have been that. I let that creep into my mind a little bit, but it never should have been. It's just getting it not a disaster.
Yeah, not broken. I've had an amazing experience with 4.0. Like, I've got 3 missions that work of the 9 that are available, and I just do the one mission that makes me 44K, and just trying to build up to whatever. I'm only had one day where I couldn't log in. It was stuck on a loading screen, and then after, I'm part of a smaller percentage, but I'm really happy with how 4.0 is released, and I'm looking forward to all the content in the next year.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick to salvaging and mining, and I won't have any problems. It's anytime I go to the patch notes and try to test something, I'm like, yep, that didn't work. Oh, that doesn't work. And that's the only time that I run into these like major snags is around the mission refactor, which is very clear that is not done. And hangars and transit, the 2 things that need to be reworked and not band-aided anymore. Those are the ones that's all the snags that I'm hitting. Inventory, which is one they haven't talked much about and need to really dial in. ATC and transit and missions. That's it.
If there's one thing as far as like changing the current game, that I'm really excited about is mining and getting all of the asteroid to be just one
mineral. Yeah,
gold, and then. You find a high quality, super high quality gold, but then you mine it with a bad laser and you overheat it a little bit, and now you didn't pay attention. Now it's poor quality. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
you can never get that quality back. So you need the best slit. So the other thing I was thinking about is density. So you have to use a different laser for different densities, right? That could be a thing. You could be specialized for ice, which needs really, really gentle laser. And you got titanium, which needs this massive amount of heat. Anyway, I'm really excited. I think they should push that as soon as possible.
Agreed. When possible it's hard to say.
Well, I mean, just change all the different percentages to 100% gold, 100% this or that.
I think they're doing it in the right order. Engineering first, that makes that have the depth. Like, so simplifying mining to the one mineral and then having engineering as your tweak to add depth to it, I think would be, and it feels like that's the direction they're going in, and it feels like that's the right, the stepping stones. Well, it might not be possible to do it at the same time because it's like
you're right. Yeah.
Test engineering first, add the depth to mining second is probably their path, and that would be nice.
I'm not even talking about the depth to mining. Just change it to just gold. I mean, maybe that'll change the economy too much, but just one commodity.
What economy? It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, that should have been in already. I feel like if that was the direction they wanted to go in, they should have just done that, and I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter as far as like a lot of the other mechanics. Just change the percentages to 100 and then populate the asteroid belts differently if you want a different population. But
to be clear, that didn't get in time for Stanton, so maybe there wasn't enough time to actually do that for 4.0. The dev who does that was in my chat and said we didn't have it ready for Stanton yet. So like the idea
maybe that's where the
dense in the center and light on the outer rings.
Yeah,
it sounded like that was something they actually wanted to bring.
They might as well refactor the content of the asteroid itself, and not just the distribution, because they're switching that anyway. Just get that in.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe that's why we're not seeing the differentiation between Pyro as well, despite seeing scorched material in bunkers in Stanton, which it should never, ever be.
No.
But that's, again, compartmentalization.
It not never, ever, but super rare, yes.
Sure.
Super rare, yes.
Pirates might have them because they're coming over. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up all the time. I think there's another guy that came in after me. But, enjoy your Sunday, guys.
Thank you, and good call. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Catch you later, Clever. You want to do one more call?
Yeah, one more. Let's do one more.
Because you already ruined the schedule. You literally.
Do you hear this? Me and my wife were like, schedule noon. We get off every day.
You are literally already ruining the schedule.
All right, we'll do one more call.
One more call.
All right.
He was busy losing at AC.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Now the dog is here. So RamzUchi, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Rams?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Wrangling a dog. How are you?
I'm making it. I'll try and be quick. I don't think my thing's really that interesting. But I was curious, like what you guys would think on. I guess let me say I am a rather new player-ish. I've almost at a year.
Okay.
And like my big complaint this whole time, I think, has been they need to serve. Basically, what they're starting to do, which I'm kind of excited for, is they need to get one good stable server. Because I feel embarrassed to bring new people here. I feel embarrassed to like invite new friends.
You shouldn't be.
To show them this mess.
Like, as in, you should not be inviting your friends to play something that isn't a video game yet.
Yeah.
That's
right.
I mean, that's fair.
You're a bad friend. If you do.
That's true. My friends got me into it. They're bad friends.
Bad friends.
For
but to get a stable server and then to have a more what they're doing with 4.0 basically. And the next iteration, I think the next most important thing, and this is what I'm curious about, what you guys think is bringing in missions that add content for everybody. That would be simple to add into the game, and that would be things like, I'm abandoning my ship. I'm gonna put it up, and you can pay me 10,000 UEC to get to the location. Here are the components on it. So if you want to come get the components, scrap it, whatever, you can pay me this 10,000. It gets the ship off the server, and someone can make a profit off it, and I make a profit off of it. And,
so
here's
the problem. You said easy to implement.
Nothing is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair. It seems easier than like adding a big complex thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, that's
but
they,
like,
they haven't
are.
really added. They haven't really added a lot of complex missions. Really,
right.
The most complex mission is probably like within the dynamic events, and it's maybe Siege of Orison. I would argue, as in just like has a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts throughout.
There's no
mission.
way that Jumptown was hard.
Correct. Yeah. Something like Jumptown is easy because it's just spit this out. We have a buy and a sell. That's it. Right.
And the only marker that has to work is where Jumptown is.
Yeah. And as part of that, buy and sell is a mechanic that already exists for other like commodities. So the only once again, the only new thing, big massive quotation marks, but the only new thing is just spit out the box. Right. I want to point out though, what you said is a no-brainer in terms of like what would be a good sandbox mission to be in the game, and that's sort of like a thing Mike was talking about earlier. Less missions, more sandbox. You can combine them. You can make missions that are sandboxy. But yeah, we all want that sort of stuff to be in the game for sure. So I think they can do that stuff eventually. That the specific example you used, I think that's a little bit more complicated than you might be giving it credit for.
Yeah, I guess the more that I think about it, that makes sense with like, oh, you got to have a marker in this random point in space, and there could be 10,000 of those.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, I wasn't considering that before.
I think as well, like to even lessen your concerns though, like you said, like you want them to have one server that's working well. Server meshing is supposed to be that, and for 2 days it was, and like we can see that working. We just need it to work in like long term, right? So once again to the bottom, 4.01 living up to the expectations. It's not in terms of stability of servers over long periods, not really yet. And hopefully it'll do that before 4.1, and then you'll feel less embarrassed about inviting your friends over to play a game, and some things kind of work.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. We all want the game to succeed. That's why we're here, and I want to invite more friends so they spend money on the game so it succeeds. But I don't want to be embarrassed about it.
Yeah. I want to wake up every day and have a list of things to do, and what prevents me from completing them is there isn't enough time in the day. Not that the game has punched me in the face 30 times and prevented me from doing them. Right.
I want to be able to go to my work, which is full of esports producers, esports pros, massive gamers, and all that. And then when I say I stream Star Citizen, for them to have any other reaction than, oh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it'll be sick if it does.
Damn right.
We're all kind of just waiting around hoping. That's all there is. Can't do much else, right? You can keep giving feedback and just. My favorite thing about streaming and talking about SC is not talking about the game itself and what I don't like about it. It's talking about other games and other experiences that I've had that are comparable, that are so fun, and how if they were in SC, they would be 10 times more fun than the experiences I had in those games that I played.
Yeah.
Right? It's
SC definitely has its moments too with like 4.0. Me and my friends, one of the first things that we did, the servers were working at first for us. We got in and we're all EVAing into one of the new areas.
Yeah.
And there's like other ships shooting above us, and it was just one of the coolest experiences. All of us just like going into this place together.
Now imagine if all that stuff like mattered.
Right.
And worked consistently so that you could do that the second day or the third day as well.
No.
Right.
How sick would that be?
No.
Imagine if that got not boring, but that was like a commonplace. Right? Like that's where the game could be, and it could be really cool. I mean, like for me, just doing like crazy big salvage and mining group stuff together, and it's just moving one box from one person to another, but the impact that can have at some point in the future is so cool. And that's why we're all here. But I think that's a good place to leave it. Again, me and the wife are trying to like make a schedule to get out of these ruts, and I think she forgot it was the podcast day, so she came in and was just like, yo, hello, She would normally do that on the normal stream, but I think most of you guys haven't seen Emmy come on and give me some crap before, so that's kind of funny. But I think that's a good place to leave it. So I know there's some people in the waiting room, but I would normally be cutting us off around now anyway because it's a 2-hour mark. Yep. So yeah. But Ram,
so thanks for the call, Rams. Appreciate it,
man.
Yep. You guys have a good one.
All right, catch you later. Bye now. But yeah, I think that's where we leave it, and just finalizing. I think expectations should not be high, and I hope, but I hope we hear what our expectations should be very soon from them. Right?
Yep.
I hope that's like their initial communication is, this is how we're doing things right now. Here was the letter for the chairman. Here's how we're implementing it. And I hope that's what we hear. I hope that's the first ISC, and the first ISC isn't here's the MISC Fortune, right? Or a combination of the two. It'd be okay if it was both.
It might be, but we'll see.
And like set the tone, right? Because the tone is not good right now.
Yeah.
And it's okay that it's not good. But set the tone.
Well, it's a much rougher start to the year than we were feeling last year.
Yeah, because I don't think we got a patch.
We didn't, but we were all on the Sitcon hype still last year, like the new feature hype.
Like, hey guys, Squadron 42 is almost done, so that means everyone's going to be working on Star Citizen, and it's like, okay, give them time. They're all working on it. They just made this change, and it's going to be good, guys, right? And it's like, I don't feel that anymore. I feel like they did server meshing. It's out. Make it good now. It's not even like there's no more excuses. So it's just like, let's hear what you got. And I don't know. I think it's a good place to leave it. And you got anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Make sure to subscribe to the Answer the Call channel right below there. I reckon we're going to try for 20,000 this year. That's my high goal, 20,000 subs on the Answer the Call channel. So make sure you guys sub. Yeah. Also follow myself and SaltEMike over on Twitch. We stream on here, YouTube live if you're watching the VOD, but also on Twitch at twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Join the Discord. The links are everywhere. Become a member if you want to give us some free money. And don't forget
to answer the call. Also, we'll do merch very soon. You and I just have to talk and get it set up. So there's that as well.
Yep.
Don't forget to answer the call.